Is there more to midlife than just getting through it? Absolutely. Welcome. I'm your host, Debbie Cunningham, jazz artist turned midlife mentor, and I'm here to say to you loud and clear, it's time for your Midlife Crescendo. Well, hi friends, happy May. Welcome to a very special episode of Midlife Crescendo. With Mother's Day just around the corner, I wanted to do something a little different and have a conversation about motherhood from two different generations today. This is actually a two-part episode. This week, we discuss what surprised us about motherhood, what we are learning about ourselves and about God, including how we've changed in the process. But before we dive into that, can you believe that summer is just around the corner? I have to say, I do love the sunshine of summer. And last week on the podcast, I talked about unexpected detours and referenced my new job as a travel agent. It is truly an unexpected detour, but it is a job I absolutely love. It's a perfect side job for me with all the many hats I wear and the things I love to do. And I so enjoy helping women, families, and couples plan their dream trips. So if you need help with any of your travel plans this summer, please go to the travel tab of debbiecunningham.net. There is a link that will take you to my actual travel website. You can also email me, info@debbiecunningham.net, with your travel request and we will talk. No pressure, just information. But please reach out to me because it is my joy to help you. And sometimes I can get you a better deal than you can get for yourself online. And it doesn't cost you extra. There's also some other news. Would you like to travel with me? I am creating a travel group list so I can let you know when I'm planning a women's trip or a couple's trip, what countries we're going to, and we can travel together if you want to come along. If you are interested in being notified about group trips that I am creating, please let me know. Message me at the same address, info@debbiecunningham.net, with your name, email, and say, add me to the travel list. I'm super excited to be planning group trips for our midlife community. And also, if you want to have a group trip with your girlfriends for a special anniversary or a birthday or your family trip, please let me know because I can curate those as well. Okay, friends, let's get on with today's episode. Well, hey, midlife listeners. Today for the podcast, I am joined by someone very special and close to my heart, my daughter, Deanna Carter. She is a graduate of Berry College with a degree in theater and communications. Before motherhood, Deanna worked as a news producer at KLST San Angelo in Texas. Then she worked in commercial sponsorship and marketing at Goodfellow Air Force Base. She paused this job, which she loved, to be a stay-at-home mom in 2019 when her first child was born. She is not only an incredible woman, but she is the mom to two sweet and rambunctious boys, ages 3 and 5. She's traveled the world and her favorite color is glitter. Welcome, Deanna.
Thanks, Mom.
It's so nice to have you here today.
Thanks. Fun to be here.
We thought it would be fun to sit down and have a real conversation about motherhood. But on the podcast, I always ask my guests, tell us something about yourself that's not on your bio. So why don't you do that?
Not on my bio. Since getting married, I have lived in 5 different places.
Wow. Moving is not my favorite thing to do.
I like going to places. I don't like packing up the house.
Yes, exactly. Yes, traveling is fun, but moving to different places and different countries even
Yes.
is a lot. Prep work and just, all the things that you have to do besides packing up your house, the things you have to prepare for to live in another country, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We thought it would be fun to sit down today and have a real conversation about motherhood from our two different seasons of life and to share some encouragement and faith for all of you women out there navigating this sacred calling. So let's start here, Deanna. What has surprised you most about being a mom?
I remember when I first had Calvin, I thought you hear about the transformation into motherhood, and I thought that that was like a moment that you had when your kid was born and you felt different, and it was like this sounds so dumb, but like it was like this movie, like I am a mom now, and like you have the instinct, you know what you're doing. Not that you know what you're doing, but like you know when you hear that like mom gut, you're like, yeah, this is the answer, and you know what's wrong, or at least you know something is wrong, or you know it's fine, and that didn't happen. Was not a magical transformation moment. I was still me, wondering who let me bring this baby home.
I think most moms feel that way.
I think they do, but nobody told me about it. So
So true. It's not really something we think about. I remember when we brought you home, since you're my firstborn, brought you home from the hospital. I remember Dad and I looked at each other like, they're just going to let us walk out of the hospital with this child?
yes, yeah, it felt wrong. Sometimes I'm still like, who let me have these two things? Like, why am I responsible for them?
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. It is true. But I think that's a pretty universal feeling. What is something that unexpected that maybe you're learning from being a mom? Or maybe what God is teaching you through your children besides patience?
How little grace I had, which sounds really bad. I'm not a mean mom, but you kids do things and you want to correct them so they know not to do it again. But you also need to not just correct the action, you have to correct the heart behind it. And that's really, really hard. And I didn't think that, at 5 and 3, that was prevalent already. And boy, howdy, is it.
What, the sin nature? It
Yes.
comes from
It
birth, baby.
is, but then like these things are they're such big topics to talk about. And not that kids can't handle big topics. They can, and they understand much more than we give kids credit for. But I can watch their faces glaze over when I'm like, do you understand? So maybe it's me using too many words for boys, but
Mhm.
also I watch them glaze over and I'm like, oh, I lost them. That's it. Okay.
Well, you do. You are very patient with your boys. And I know you've learned that and you've really worked on being patient
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just think you're doing an outstanding job. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I know I tell you that all the time, but you are doing an outstanding job with those boys, and you are much more patient than I was. Although I tried to be patient, I feel like
For the
you
record, I don't remember you not being patient. So
thanks for that. So see, okay, so let me just interject there. So ladies, there are a lot of things I feel like God covers over the multitudes of our sins, gives grace to our children so they don't remember the moments we were losing it, you know? Because I wasn't always a patient mom, or I didn't feel like a patient mom. I wanted to be and I was trying, but I felt like I was like, if you leave that on the floor one more time, I'm literally going to blow a gasket.
like I know we butted heads through the years, but I don't remember that. Like when I think of childhood, that's not what I remember. I know it happened, but I also that's not like a core part of what I remember. It's just like, yeah, well, I deserved it. So
Well, what do you remember? Do you want to segue into that and just say
sure.
things that you did remember?
I mean, about you, like I remember you hanging out with us and playing with us and doing crafts and always having an idea and making things fun. And whether that was like, I know I just said crafts, but you made things fun, whether that was crafts or activities or taking us somewhere or fun snacks, or like I remember baking and all that. And we would have little tea parties, and I thought I was being sneaky with how many sugar cubes I could put in, and you definitely knew.
Oh,
That's
we know.
that's that's what I remember. I remember movie nights, and I remember what was it? It was the psych finale, wasn't it? That you made the little like the pineapple graphic with
Oh,
with and all that. I remember that, and sometimes you would theme snacks, and I remember that, and it was fun.
well, I'm glad you remember those fun things. But what do you remember about? Okay, so now you're experiencing. Okay, you've got a 3 and a 5-year-old, and you're experiencing that resistance to your leadership. Let's put it that way. what do you remember about maybe me disciplining you, or did you feel like, I don't know how to phrase this. I just wonder if you remember the hard seasons when we were at odds with each other or anything like that.
I
Or has
mean,
there been enough grace in that and forgiveness that we've moved through those things?
definitely enough grace and forgiveness that, like I said, it's not like a major part of my childhood. Like, I know I got in trouble. I remember being in my room. I can't give you any specifics, but
Right.
I remember times crying in my room because I got in trouble. It was looking back like it was definitely my fault. I definitely deserved it. In the moment at 8, 14, whatever it was, I don't remember, I didn't think that, but I mean, yeah, I remember occasionally getting in trouble, but as the perfect child. Just kidding. I remember occasionally getting in trouble, but I don't remember that being like an all the time thing. I don't remember. I know, like, teenage years, I know I would feel, as most teenagers do, you're not listening to me. You just don't understand. You wouldn't get it. Like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
how does
you
that
wanted to, like, take me and go, no, I was there. I get it.
how does that inform your parenting now? Because now you have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and they're starting to, like, not listen to you or not do what you say, right?
Yeah.
And they're really starting to insert, because they have their own personalities. Calvin and Charlie have their own personalities, and both of them have different things that they resist you on. So how do you handle that now? You're incredibly gracious. I mean, do you feel like this is just a process and this is what it's gonna be like, and it's just me learning to teach them and educate them? What I love about you is that you give a lot of grace to your boys while you're training them and teaching them what is acceptable behavior, but you also don't freak out if they have a meltdown, because that there's dysregulation going on, and their
Mm.
brains are absorbing so many things that you have a lot of grace for that.
Well, thank you. There are times when we all get dysregulated, and I do have to go back and apologize, but I do make a point to do that so they
With the
know.
kids.
Yeah, and I say, look, I was having big feelings just like you, and I didn't handle it well, and let's work together to do better next time. That seems to be working. I mean, I try to, now that they're 5 and 3, I kind of handle it almost the same. Obviously, that's still a pretty big, like, maturity difference. But I
Yeah.
can say some of the same things. Like, I hear, especially when they're not listening, and I've said it 2 or 3 times, which I also try not to do. I try not to repeat too much because I don't want them to think they can wait me out. But, if I've said something like, get your shoes on, eat your breakfast, something, brush your teeth, I don't know. And they're like, but I want to do this. I know the whatever it is. I try to say, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. We need to do this right now. And if that's not working, what seems to be lately, because it all changes, something works for 3 weeks, then you have to find a new way to do it. Um, like,
Or so it
what's
seems.
working. Yeah, what's working right now is, I explained that we're on a team. If we're all, they love to play with the magnetic tiles, and so I took 4 of them and I put them in. I made them a cube, and I was like, look, four pieces make up this cube. That's like our family. There's 4 of us, and if one of us isn't doing what we need to do, it's no longer together. Like, the team isn't working. I need you to be on my team. We all have a job to do. Like, each of these squares has a job to make the box. We have a job to do in our family. I need you to be on my team. If you're not doing your job, I can't do mine because I have to make sure you're doing your job. And so that seems to be working right now. Something else that has worked is, God gave me a job. My job is to keep you safe and to keep you healthy. Your job is to listen to me. I can't do my job if you're not doing your job. And then they feel like, oh, I'm helping.
Well,
And,
good.
so
Okay.
that's working right now. I'm sure in a month I'll have to find some other way to say it, but pointing out to them, like, family has to work together to make this all work is something I want them to know.
Right.
And so that, like, they know it's not just mom's job or dad's job or whoever's job to clean up the house and do this and do that. We all have to do it together. If the house is going to run, we all have to play our part. And, as we get into older ages and bigger responsibilities, that's the fundamental line I want them to have, is we have to work together.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
think
also
that's
don't want them
great.
growing up thinking they have to do everything on their own.
This is true. And And Charlie, especially like right now, is in the me do it stage.
A
He wants
three-nager.
He's a three-nager. He is a three-nager. He wants to do everything by himself, even if you're watching him struggle and go, if you would just let me help you, this would be so much easier.
Or if he
And we
wants to take
do
his
need,
own
oh, go
time, and I'm
ahead.
like, we need to be out of the door 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, that part is hard. That's when I started actually making my time to leave the house 10 or 15 minutes earlier than it actually had to be because I knew I needed to give space for you or Drake to do it yourself. It frustrated me to no end, but once I decided to make that change and go, you know what? This is a part of their growing and learning to do it by themselves because I was guilty of wanting to just do it for you so that we could get
Yeah.
out the door faster. But
Yeah.
when I readjusted my thinking and started to change that, then I wasn't so stressed. Number one, because we were running behind because I was waiting on someone who wanted to do it themselves,
Mhm.
but also I wasn't stressed or racing down the highway, in a hurry or late. And so that helped me a lot through those years. Well, it's interesting you talked about you want them to know they don't have to do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
Because I think even as Christians, we follow God, but we kind of do that with God too. We like want to do everything by ourselves and we really don't. It's a hard line because you're supposed to be independent and function as an independent, responsible adult. And
Mhm.
yet God wants us to depend on him. So how has that affected you teaching your kids? Is there anything in parenting that's maybe affected the way you think about God or your relationship with God?
That's been something I've been noticing recently, actually, is like I very much want to do things on my own. I am a strong, independent woman, and I can do it by myself. And there are like I've had to do things by myself. That's, like I have to, with Joseph's job, especially when we lived in Germany, he was working 12-hour shifts, whether that was days or nights, it switched. And so I had to do it. I had to do nights by myself. I had to do days by myself. I had to just figure it out. And most stay-at-home moms do. That's not, anything special, but I just had to. And because we were in Germany, like we didn't have necessarily a whole network of people. We had people that we could ask for help, but sometimes they were also working or they, were not there or whatever. So I had to just figure things out sometimes, like most moms do. Like I said, I leaned too far into that doing it myself. And I've been through my mom's group at church, we've been reading this book and I've been realizing like I try too hard to do things by myself. And like, especially when it comes to my faith walk, I'm like, okay, if I can get my patience under control, or if I can just work up and get my patience perfect, then I can go back and say, look, God, I did it. Now I'm patient
Mm,
enough for you, or I'm this for you. And I can't. That's not how I don't have. And I also just, I don't know, the past couple of weeks it's dawned on me. I've been told this, but you can be told and told and told, but until your brain and your heart is like ready for it, it's not going to click. It's clicked for me finally. Like I can't do it and I don't need to do it.
right.
I need to say I can't and then let him fill that gap. That's the whole point. But,
Yeah.
sometimes some of us are slow learners.
Or stubborn
We're
or
stupid. Can't possibly be talking about me.
I'm just kidding.
No, I am.
Oh.
I am.
In a sweet way though.
But I like to do things by myself, but I just lean too far into it sometimes, and you have to reel yourself back and go, okay, I'm sorry, I'm back again. Just like kids do.
But okay, but when your children come to you and say, "Mom, I'm sorry," and then they want to let you help them, "Will you help me?" You have those moments where you feel then, how do you feel? Let me just ask you, how do you feel when they come to you and ask for your forgiveness or come to you and say, "I do need your help," or willing to let you help them? In that
Relief.
moment, you're relieved, right?
Yes. Like you already have the forgiveness if that was an issue, or you already have you already have it. You just needed to ask for it. And I realized that when I said that sentence to Calvin, I was like, oh. for myself. Like, oh,
Light
sorry.
bulb. Light bulb on.
Yeah.
You already have my help. You already have my forgiveness, God says.
Just have to ask. That's
You just
all.
have to
That's all it
ask.
is.
It's amazing what parenting teaches us about God and our faith, isn't
It's
it?
incredible. Yes.
Is there
And
anything else that you're learning about yourself or your faith or your relationship with God through parenting?
I mean, I think this is a struggle that a lot of Christian parents face is like we want to raise our kids the right way. There are so many opinions about what the right way is.
Mhm.
But then, they exhibit their sin nature as we all do. And you're like, why would you do that? And you want to set the record straight. But then, I'm expecting my kid to live at this standard that I'm not even at. But where is that? Like, I can't lower the standard
Right.
because the Bible sets the standard. So I'm trying to hold them to the standard that I'm also falling short of. So how do I manage that in the correction part? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, how do I where's the line of you need to get this, but also I know you're not, like, I need to give you grace in it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a struggle.
I think that I will say that I learned so much about God when I became a parent, even though I already felt loved by God and I loved God and I had a relationship with God. But when, excuse me, when you were born, all of a sudden there were so many light bulbs that went on that made me understand
Yes.
unconditional loving a human being. Because as a child, I knew that you were growing and learning. So when you made mistakes, even ones that were hard, and it might have grieved my heart that I wish that hadn't happened to you because you made
Yeah.
this choice, or when we had to take something away, like an event away or
Yeah.
something like that, I might have felt bad that you were losing an opportunity because of choices or something. But in my heart, I was grieving that as much as you were, and
Yeah.
I totally got the God thing of him, and that I had so much forgiveness and grace for you or
Yeah.
for your brother because it's just pours out of you as a parent. Now, there are times that you might be frustrated with a child who has a repeat disobeying the rules over and over and over again. And so I remember feeling one time like, I do not know what to do to change this child's behavior. And I think it was probably teenage years to change this behavior that's happening. And so you just keep trying because they don't come with a manual and you just keep trying,
Yeah.
the next thing and the next thing. It's obviously God knows us and he knows the manual. But I remember knowing in my heart, but I love my children so much that even though we're going through a hard season, that love never left.
Yeah.
And so as a parent at your kids, I mean, immediately it just, you already have that love and forgiveness for them almost all the time. It's like
Yeah.
present. But again, the relationship accesses the love and forgiveness basically that's already present.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. So tell me, there's a lot of talk in society about mom guilt. And I'm
Mhm.
curious if do you have any kind of mom guilt in this season? Do you feel, I mean, usually they talk about mom guilt in not being enough or doing enough for your kids. Do you have any experience with mom guilt? And if so, in what situation?
Yeah, I switch between like, oh, I didn't spend enough time with them today, or oh, I didn't spend enough time picking up the house, or like, being a good steward of that. But then it's because I was with them, but then I'm present with them, thinking about, man, I should be showing them that this is an important part of life, is keeping things clean or whatever. And then you just go back and forth, or like they'll do something, and I'm like, man, if I can't, at the end of the day, I'm like, that was a hard night, that was a hard morning, it was hard, whatever. Did I do it right? Did I handle it right? Or why can't I get this, whatever this problem is, under control? If I can't get it under control now at 5 or 3, what are they going to do at 15 and 13? What am I, like, when the consequences really start to matter? And then I just spiral and spiral and spiral. It's fun.
It
Does
is
that
fun.
go away?
I think, does that go away?
Good. I'm so glad.
I think it does. I think it does. I will tell you this, that now at my age, 59, and having a daughter who's 29 and a son who's 26, and I see now I can look at you and see your lives and how you live your lives. And I know that staying at home and all the things that I poured into you mattered.
Mhm.
But then I felt the same way. Am I doing enough? Am I being enough? And I think every mother feels that way, whether she's a stay-at-home mom or she's a working mom. Because if
Yes.
you're a stay-at-home mom, sometimes you feel like you're overwhelmed and you want to have a life outside of your kids, but you also want to pour into them. And
Yes.
there's a mom guilt for me. There's a little bit of mom guilt of wanting something outside of being a mom.
Yes.
And then for my friends who had got to enjoy their jobs, and a lot of them, some of them wanted to work, some of
Yeah.
them had to work. We're all in different situations. Every mother works. Let's just clarify that. Whether it's inside or outside the home, every mother works, because even if you're inside the home, there's a lot to be done in the house and managing all the things that someone
And
else
neither
isn't
one is
taking
hard.
care of,
Neither
right?
one is harder than the other. It is
Neither
just
one
as
is harder. It's just different.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I would talk to my friends who were working, and they had guilt. They had mom guilt for working instead of being at home.
Yep.
But sometimes I had guilt because I desired something other than being at home,
Yeah.
right? But I chose to be at home. Or that I could have balanced maybe some of the financial responsibilities by helping at that time. But in our season, we really felt called for one of us to be at home, and your dad, he traveled all the time with his job, so somebody had to be stable, a stable influence on you kids.
Mhm.
So I think mom guilt, it does change. I think as you get older and you look back, I think that the things you worried about aren't as you realize were not as important,
Yeah.
you know? That there were
It
so
doesn't
many
matter how many
things.
times you tell a
What did you
young mom
say?
that. So it doesn't matter how many times you tell a young mom, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that," because in their world, they do.
Right.
Everybody has to learn for themselves, which is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's part of the journey actually of being a
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of prayers have you found yourself praying for your kids? Like anything specific or maybe concerns that cause you to pray for them?
Knowing that I am not enough, and I'm not, and that's okay. Knowing I'm not enough to save them is
Right.
tough. And so and I have to do my best to teach them, to train them in the way they will go, and hope that I did it right and pray that I did it right. And that's been the prayer is like, God, grab them, hold them, don't let them go.
Right. And cultivate the seeds that I'm planting. Like I remember praying
You know,
that for
plant
you
the right
guys.
seeds, help me to do it right.
Right. Well, and I think that if you really look at listen, if your child is saying, "Please help me do this right," and you see that they're doing it wrong, you're gonna go, "Hey, why don't you hold it this way? Hey, why don't you try this?" Because if we remember that that's the way we love and parent, that
Yes.
God is gonna parent us that way, and then ultimately our children.
Hmm.
Because I remember once you guys became adults, like, obviously, until you're 18, you're not a legal adult. But I remember as you became adults, that was a hard transition. Obviously, you're not there yet. That was a hard transition for me
Yeah.
to be because then you're a different you have to become a different kind of mom. You're always mom. But
Yeah.
then you're not the mom telling your child, or you shouldn't be the mom telling your child what to do.
Yes.
Because as they become adults, they are now turned over to their adult responsibility is to God now, actually not to you
Right.
when they become adults. So we coined a phrase, just a suggestion, but this is what I think would be helpful, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't me saying, you really oughta.
Yeah.
And I still say it.
Eh, I know
Just
I
as a
found myself saying it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I say it too. And of course, your brother's 26. And I'll say, you're an adult and you can do whatever you want. But if it were me, this is what I would choose. So I think that we have to, that's the other transition that you will go through
Yeah.
that I've already gone through is transitioning over into not micromanaging
Mhm.
your behavior because you're an adult. But when you do that for 18 years, it's hard to shift.
I mean, parenting is just letting go for 18 years.
This is true.
You raise this for you really get the kid for a year. The first year of their life, they are yours, and that's it. And you can hold them and love them. And then the next 17 years is you teaching them how to walk away from you and talk and think independently and do all these things by themselves. It is 17 years of letting go, and it's a little bit rude.
That's funny. I never thought about it that way, actually.
I realized it when they do these like social people put these things on social media. It's like you get 9 summers or whatever it is, 12 summer. I don't know, 12 summers with your kids. Enjoy them. Like okay, as if I wasn't feeling like I wasn't doing enough already. Thanks. Or you only get the like by the time they're 18, you spent 75% of your time with them. Like wow, okay. And I was that, but that made me realize after I dried my eyes a little bit. It's like that's it. If that's the time I get with them, I'm literally raising them to leave, and they should. But
Right.
that's not nice to me.
It doesn't feel good
No.
sometimes, right? Because we love so deeply and we
Yes.
love our kids, but we want you to have your own lives.
Yes,
And
I
for a
do.
lot of women right now, as their kids are graduating high school or college, but especially high school and going off to college or moving out for the first time,
Or yeah.
it's an emotional time of super letting go and trusting God with their kids.
This is exactly what you wanted to do, but now you don't want to do it. And that's okay.
Yeah. And even through the years though, there are moments where you have to trust God with your children. We live with perceived control over our own lives. We live with the perception that we have control. And in a lot of ways, I
You don't.
did have control over what you did and didn't do, but
Right.
but you had to have open heart surgery at 3 years old and that
Mhm.
was not my choice. It's not what I wanted, but
Right.
releasing you to God in that was really hard. Like,
Yeah.
watching them take you away on a gurney and literally having to let go and
Yeah.
not be able to affect the outcome
Yeah.
of that except by prayer and trusting God was really tough.
Yeah.
But I think we have little ways that we do that with our children for the rest of our lives,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, every day you let them go to school. If you don't homeschool, you have to choose to trust that day.
Yes. And when you moved to Germany as an adult child.
And I'm gonna get paid for back for that one. I know it.
Okay, that is our stopping point for today. I hope you found some encouragement for your own motherhood journey, or even more so, your journey as God's daughter. As we discussed today, God's love and forgiveness is available to you all the time. You just need to ask to access it. Next week, we will have part 2 of our conversation, talking about the importance of community in motherhood, whether having toddlers, teens, or grown children. We need each other on this journey as mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends. Thanks for tuning in today, and remember, midlife is just a brand new season to find your passion and purpose for your grand finale. Talk next week.